The craziest military training exercises. Russian shot to the chest. Being comfortable around guns and bullets is an absolute must for recruits whose survival on the battlefield depends heavily on the familiarity they have with such instruments of death. This is usually achieved with shooting practice and live fire drills conducted in a safe and controlled environment. It would be counterintuitive to subject troops to real danger, unless of course you want to become part of the Russian Federal Security Service. Trainees have to undergo a confidence drill, which involves being shot at close range with a pistol loaded with real full metal jacket rounds. With nothing but a bulletproof vest for protection and their weapon holstered, participants are blasted several times in the chest from only a couple of meters away. Then, providing none of their vital organs have been accidentally pierced, the human bullet cushion draws their weapon and fires at a cardboard target standing right next to the shooter. The point of this highly perilous drill is to train FSB servicemen to fire back with accuracy and calmness in the event that they are shot and injured by an enemy. That is, if they haven't already been killed by their instructor. Drinking Cobra blood. In the words of legendary American General George Patton, war is a bloody killing business. You've got to spill their blood or they will spill yours. Spilling blood is certainly a key activity of war, and so is drinking it if you were a U.S. Marine posted to Southeast Asia before 2020. No, American servicemen are not vampires. They just have a bit of taste for Cobra blood. Beginning in 1982, for 4 decades, U.S. Marines and Navy personnel have participated in an international military exercise called Cobra Gold that takes place in Thailand every year. With a focus on amphibious landing and jungle training, one of the most controversial events was the survival food exhibition put on by the Royal Thai Marines. In addition to eating pineapples, jackfruit, and other exotic fruits, soldiers from America, Australia, South Korea, Japan, and other regional allies were also expected to chomp down on scorpions, tarantulas, and other creepy crawlies that might provide vital protein in a life-or-death situation. The grisly highlight was to guzzle down the blood of a freshly beheaded cobra, something that animal rights activists back in the US weren't too happy about. After a series of complaints were made, the exercise was officially discontinued by the American military in 2020. Thanks to this, cobras in Thailand can now slither around with a lot less stress. The Belarus Fire Walk. In militaries across the globe, anniversaries are usually incredibly significant events celebrated with a sensitive mixture of pageantry and reflection. In 2016, for example, Britain celebrated the 75th anniversary of the Elite Special Air Service, or SAS, with the unveiling of 2 statues, airplane displays, and a meet and greet by the British royal family. Well, it turns out that they do things very differently in Belarus, which in 2020 commemorated the 60th anniversary of its special forces with a military exercise which involved setting fire to their own commandos and hitting them with burning sledgehammers. The event, which also featured men lying back down on boards of nails with weights on top of them, was also an opportunity for Belarusian troops to beat the living hell out of each other with brutal bouts of hand-to-hand combat. It wasn't all bad though, because while trying to avoid life-changing injuries, the participants were also treated to a special concert and lashings of soldiers' porridge and hot tea. Delicious. Sheep dip. As the British Army's most elite amphibious force, the Royal Marines have a deserved reputation for being fearless and brave. A lot of this comes down to their brutal entrance tests, which are purpose-built to weed out the weak. In order to even be considered for a place in the Marines, you must first undergo a 3-day course that'll test the absolute physical and mental limits of each and every recruit. Arguably, the most challenging exercise comes at the end of the Potential Royal Marines course, or Potential Officers course. The endurance course, as it's known, lasts about 90 minutes, starts with a 2.5-mile cross-country run, and ends with the infamous sheep dip. No, the aim of this deceptively named activity is not to bathe with farm animals. Rather, it's to conquer claustrophobia by passing through a 6-foot-long submerged tunnel that's completely filled with water. In order to overcome it and prove your mettle, trainees hold their breath and are then pushed through the entrance head first. After plunging into darkness, a comrade standing on the other side of the tunnel grabs them on the back of the neck and pulls them out into the light. SAS 36-hour interrogation. The Royal Marine test is certainly harder than most, but it pales in comparison to the selection process of the Special Air Service. Since 1984, at least 20 people have died trying to get into the coveted ranks of Britain's most elite counter-terrorist unit through exhaustion alone. But while only a handful have perished because of physical overexertion, hundreds and perhaps thousands have been left mentally scarred by the dreaded 36-hour mock interrogation. This usually occurs right after initiates have survived for 2 weeks with little to no food and shelter, meaning they're already in a fragile state of mind when they're suddenly taken out of their surroundings, stripped naked, blindfolded, and thrown into a pen. After being processed in this way, the captives are given an overall to wear, and then they're led into a room with speakers filled with the maddening sound of white noise. After this, they're put into various stress positions that make their whole body ache before they're moved on to another chamber. They're next subjected to interrogation by a mixture of good cops and bad cops, with the more aggressive allowed to get physical if so desired. However, according to one ex-SAS serviceman, the ones that really get into your head are the female interrogators. Placed in a freezing cold holding cell and ordered to strip naked, even the hardest of veterans have been known to completely crack as they're emasculated and humiliated. Chinese hot potato. In hot potato, children are knocked out if the small object is in their hand when the music stops, or if they drop it. What most people don't know, however, is that they've been playing it on peaceful mode this whole time. Cue the Chinese army, who clearly didn't get the memo when they swapped the potato for a live grenade. Surfacing on the net all the way back in 2012, footage from China's state television channel shows 6 troops in a circle with a deep ditch in the center, casually passing around a smoking explosive with a detonation time of 6 seconds. With impeccable timing, just before it goes off, the last man tosses it into the hole, and then with milliseconds to spare, they all leap belly first onto the ground. It's not clear whether this is a one-off demonstration or an official training exercise, but what it does show is that Chinese soldiers are at peace with the fact that they may become a baked potato if they serve their country. The Gurkha Doko race. The British first encountered the Gurkha warriors of Nepal during the Anglo-Nepalese War of 1814. After 2 years of relentless conflict, the Gurkhas surrendered, but the British were left so impressed by their professionalism, martial skill, and bravery that they decided to recruit them. For more than 200 years, young men from Nepal have attempted to enter the ranks of the British Army as Gurkhas by taking the back-breaking Doko race. A Doko is a type of traditional hand-woven bamboo basket shaped like a cone used to carry stuff up and down mountains. Taking place in the foothills of the Himalayas every year in the town of Pokhara, prospective candidates have to lug a Doko with 15 kilograms of sand up an uphill 5.8-kilometer course in less than 46 minutes to qualify. The Doko race is notoriously tough. In 2023, of the 20,000 that applied, only 204 made it through. From mental torture to pain and exhaustion, as these examples have illustrated, you might want to think twice if you think joining the military is a walk in the park.